Hello everyone, welcome back to another Mario Baseball video. I wanted to do a quick video here describing the different game modes and the rule sets, basically outlining the major competitive modes of Mario Baseball here and providing some insight and some just a video outlining these because they can get a little bit confusing for newer net players. The naming conventions are prone to confusion, so I wanted to set the record straight here with this video and go into describing a brief overview of these game modes. So to start things off, the first way I'm going to start describing these is by splitting them into game modes and rule sets. I've decided to do this because there are very clearly these game mode sets that rule sets underneath follow, and typically any rule set will fall into one of these four game modes, particularly mostly just two of them. So to start things off, I want to talk about superstars, which are there on the left side. You can either have superstars on and superstars off. Now, what a superstar is a unlockable character, a stat buff, which is unlocked in the vanilla game by completing star missions in the challenge mode. You have to complete all character star missions to unlock a superstar. And what a superstar does, it buffs character stats there. I've put on the screen which character stats get buffed. There's a certain cap for characters, so you can't go over that amount of stats. So turning superstars on will bump up a character either plus 50 for most of those stats or to that cap that you see. And I'm not going to go into every stat that it does, but for the most part, what you're going to do in Superstars On, you're going to have a lot more power on your team, be able to hit a lot more home runs. Your characters are going to be faster. The fielding arms are going to be quicker. So just a lot of changes there. And it makes the game a little bit faster paced, but it also opens up home runs to most characters in the game, and charge swings as a viable option for a lot more characters than currently exist in the Superstars Off. So that's what Superstars On is. You turn on Superstars by pressing Y on the lineup menu, and that's how you turn them on. You will almost always turn on all 9. That is the typical way you play a Superstars On match. And what Superstars Off means is you just don't turn these on. You play how the characters came with the game without these star missions completed, and the stats just aren't increased. They're the normal stats that we have in the data mine sheet. You can check that out. I leave a link in the description to that sheet if you're interested in looking at all the character traits. But that is the difference between Superstars On and Superstars Off. One of the two major categories that goes into determining what I'm calling these game modes. And then the second category is Star Skills On versus Star Skills Off. The vast majority of games in Mario Baseball play Star Skills On. And what a star skill is, it's the star pitches and star hits that you can do with a character. So each captain has a special unique star hit or a star pitch, and then also each character, non-captain, has a more generic one, a line drive, a pop fly. So those are in Star Skills On, those are turned on, while in Star Skills Off, those are turned off. So in Star Skills Off, you can't be star hitting, you're not going to be Birdo egging, you're not going to be DK banana balling, you're not going to be throwing any star pitches, there's not going to be any star chances. So Star Skills On, the more popular way, is the default version, and a lot of players say that makes it Mario Baseball. The star skills in Mario Baseball are what make it Mario Baseball from just another generic game. Now, there are people who disagree, so I've outlined these two categories here, and as you can see, this is where the naming confusion comes in. You have what's called Stars On, which is Superstars On and Star Skills On, and you have Stars Off, which has Superstars Off and Star Skills On. So the stars is used in both of those, but it only refers to the superstars, not the star skills, in the names of Stars On and Stars Off. So that's where the confusion a lot of times comes in. Those are by far the two most popular game modes, and we'll get into the rule sets underneath these game modes. But then also the other two options you have in this game mode setting, the third most popular, Big Balla, popularized by Baltor33, and what you're basically doing in Big Balla is you're turning the superstars on, the star skills off. You're going for the fences. You're hitting charge hits. You're going for power. None of this DK banana. None of this Birdo egg. Baltor famously dislikes the Birdo egg specifically. And what he said to me is that Big Balla mode is the highest test of skill in Mario Superstar Baseball. It eliminates the crutch of star swings and forces the player to only use their abilities. Either play with the big ballas or play stars off on the porch with the pup. So he's a big proponent of it, and he's really driven this into the competitive scene, the meta itself. He's had 4 tournaments, as we'll get into, and that is why this is one of the more popular game modes in Mario Baseball. And then we have the fourth option here, which is Star Skills Off, Superstars Off. Now, this doesn't necessarily have a name yet. There's been names floated: Iron Man and Small Bala as a mirror to Big Bala. Well, essentially, this is you're not really having the power that you have in Superstars on, and so because of that, it's going to be a lot lower scoring. It's not really played, so there's not a lot of meta development around it. That's why we don't really even have a name, but it is an option of these 4 game modes that I've defined here, and which is why I've included it. So moving on from this, I want to talk about some of these rule sets, which go into a finer detail on each of the specifics of how each game is played, but largely fall into these categories. So the first rule set I want to talk about, the only two I'm going to go super in depth in, are the stars on ranked and stars off ranked. But I'm going to start here with stars off ranked. So the tournament rule set or ranked stars off, tournament rule set also, you're not going to be allowed to turn on the superstar characters, obviously. Mercy is on. Innings, you set it to 9. Stadium, you have randomized stadiums, but those are going to be hazardless stadiums, so we've modded the game a little bit to turn off these hazards. The chain chomps, the Bowser Castle fireballs, the DK barrels, those things are turned off by mods in the stars off ranked rule set. This is also just the rules for season 4, so these are up to change each season to season. You're going to have fielder swap limits. The rule sets go into a lot more detail on these things, and but stars off ranked clearly falls in the stars off game mode, and the rule set there just really defines out the more important rules. Another thing is the drop spots are on in superstars and stars off ranked, and then as we move to stars on ranked, you have 5 inning games, just the rule set that's been chosen. Drop spots are off. You're allowed to turn on any superstar you want. You technically don't have to turn them on, but I've never seen anyone not do it. It's not that big of an advantage not to turn on. Maybe you can find a scenario with a character or two it might be better not to, but no one's really tried it because it's just a big buff to the character, so I don't see a real reason to test it out. And then Stadium, they have their own stadium banning rules, but they play hazards on and stars on. I say they. I am also a stars on player as well, and you're going to see that over the coming weeks as I post some more stars on content. So for stars off, the main tournaments, you have Netplay Superstars, you have Spring Series hosted by Mr. Joe, Netplay Superstars hosted by Little Cokes, Spring Series hosted by Mr. Joe, NBA Cup hosted by Clutch 1908. Stars on tournaments, you have Stars on Showdown hosted by Dr. Winkley. You have the Stadium Series hosted by Vickless Falcon. So those are 2 biggest game modes of Mario Baseball. Stars on being a little bit less popular than stars off at the moment. And then we move into the other potential game modes that we have. So we have Big Ball, as I mentioned, has similar rules. I'm not going to go into all of these, but you have Big Ball tournaments hosted by Baltor. There has been 4 of them so far. There have been fun brackets, March Madness style, quick 3-day tournaments with 40-50 entrants. It's a really fun tournament. And then one of the other I'll move into this tournament also. There's the Little League tournament. There's some other specialty modes, the UU, the T-ball mode. Little League tournament, you choose the 9 smallest characters. I have hosted the Little League 2 tournament. There's a little bit of arbitrariness in the height of characters, but for the most part, the idea is you choose the smallest 9 in Little League. In T-ball/UU, the idea is to ban the top characters. So what used to be done when there's a big explosion of UU onto the scene, T-ball. But in that mode, you banned the top 10 characters, or you banned the top 9 plus Diddy, so the 2 most popular pitchers in Boo and Diddy got banned. That was a bit controversial, but regardless, the idea behind a T-ball or a UU game is you ban the top characters in the game, and then the lower tier characters get to shine. So all these modes that I've mentioned so far, they do not allow duplicate characters. What duplicate characters allows is, in the case of the next 2 modes I'm mentioning, the duplicate characters allow a color variant to be picked. So you can have Red Toad and Blue Toad on the same team in these next 2 modes, but you cannot have 2 Red Toads. So these next 2 modes I want to mention are a classic format, which is you have 6 teams and there are 54 characters in the game. And now that might seem like a coincidence because there's 54 characters. That means each team can get 9 characters. You're like, wow, that's lucky that it worked out that way. But no, instead, the challenge mode has 6 teams of its own, and the characters there to fill out each team individually. So luckily, 6 teams there means that you can have 6 teams. You don't have to go with the challenge mode teams. And what a classic format allows you to do is to pick 9 characters in some sort of draft format. You can have an auction, snake draft, other sorts of drafts as well. But each player, there's 6 players, they pick 9 characters for their team, and then they typically play out a season or a tournament. And sometimes also stadiums get drafted. So mostly you can play either Classic in Stars Off or Stars On, or Big Balla. You can play it in any of these 4 game modes. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is these rule sets, at least these next to the Classic and then now the Triple Play, can be played in the 4 game modes that I've outlined, and then you can have your own rule sets below these as well. So Triple Play, similar to a Classic, you have 54 characters all up for grabs, but what you do is you have 2 teams of 3 players. So 3 players make up 2 teams. The idea behind this is that your 2 teams are going to draft the characters you want out of 54 in some sort of draft format, and each team's going to end up with half the characters in play, 27, which they can make 3 teams from, and they can organize the teams in any way they want. They can stack one team and give put all the power characters on one of their teams that they drafted, and then give all the low tier characters to one player, however they want to organize that, and then you bring in a lot of strategy into that. So those are the major game modes that exist currently in Mario Baseball. There's a lot of room for new game modes, with mods especially, and hazardless stadiums and all sorts of things. There are plenty of room for more game modes. New exciting things on the horizon include randoms, which has always been possible, but there's a way now we're looking to maybe balance the randoms, or the random functionality within the game itself is not explicitly random. So there's been some work outside of the game to get random teams involved and get a randoms ladder open. But other than that, there's not as many other game modes on the horizon, but there's a lot of possibilities for new game modes to take over the meta. You create something unique and new and interesting, and people could play. You start off with a tournament. That's how Big Balla got started. Started off with just a Big Balla tournament, and now it's grown into a game mode where it occasionally gets played. And with the Project Rio coming out, launching communities, you'll see some more game modes, especially Big Balla, get its own ladder and get people just playing some Big Balla games on their own. But that's going to do it for us here. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to put this graphic up one more time just to show you the different game modes under which the majority of games fall under. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope this clarified some things. I know it was a bit of a quick video, but I hope you were able to understand and now be fully clear on what the different game modes of Mario Baseball are. Thank you everyone.